Welcome back to AI Without Illusions. Today we continue the structured review of the series with another extremely important player in the current AI landscape, Gemini. Gemini by Google. Honestly, Gemini is strategically fascinating for a very different reason than both ChatGPT and Claude. Have you tried it already? Because Gemini is no longer only talking about standalone AI assistant. We are talking about the possible integration of AI directly in one of the largest ecosystems on the planet. Search, email, documents, cloud, meetings, mobile devices, productivity workflows, advertising, enterprise, really, you have heard, enterprise infrastructure. It then changes the discussion significantly. My name is Dr. Siegfried Iserle, and as always, feel free to call me Siggy as well. Also in the discussions or down if you want to share something. This series is not about emotional AI battles, hype-driven fan discussions, or something like that. It's really about operational reality, governance, scalability, enterprise readiness, and pragmatic analysis. And importantly, every platform in this series goes through the exact same review structure, same categories, the same executive questions, and the same governance perspective. Saying that because consistency matters if comparisons are supposed to remain meaningful. We want to be transparent as normally we are from Switzerland. So let us start with the strategic positioning. Gemini is clearly positioned as an ecosystem AI. Not just as a chatbot, and just as a writing as well, not. But increasingly as an integrated AI layer across all the Google environment, the digital environment of Google. And honestly, that could become extremely powerful. Because unlike many competitors, Google already owns enormous parts of daily digital workflows. Search behavior, you all use, email communication, calendar usage, documents, meetings, and Android devices. Honestly, I'm using Apple, I'm using an iPhone, but beside that, I'm using all of that. Cloud environments, productivity tooling. Very few companies globally operate on that ecosystem scale. Think about it. Now, from a practical real-work perspective, Gemini performs particularly well in multimodal interactions, ecosystem integration, research support, content assistance, summarization, productivity scenarios connected to the Google environment only. And honestly, this ecosystem integral is probably the real strategic differentiator here. Because AI becomes dramatically more useful once understands operational context. I'm surprised always when it summarizes my emails. So documents, emails as mentioned, meetings, schedules, workflows, collaboration environments. All that is really well working. That is where AI potentially moves from an interesting technology towards operational assistant. I really enjoy, for example, the functionality putting an email into the calendar with one click. But of course, this is also immediately creates governance and privacy discussions. Because the deeper AI integrations into ecosystems, the more visibility potentially gains into organizational behavior and sensitive information. Because it's reading all your emails, for example. Think about that as well, please. And that is not a theoretical concern anymore. That is an operational reality. Organizations must clearly understand what data is visible, what is processed, what is retained, what is analyzed, and what governance boundaries are required. What about if you send some serious confidential documents by email? Now let us talk about user experience and accessibility. And honestly, Google has one enormous advantage here. Billions of existing users already understand the ecosystem. That's a big win and a big benefit to them, which dramatically lowers onboarding friction. Gemini feels familiar relatively quickly for users already using Google products. And an adoption perspective that is enormously important. And honestly, I was previously a Microsoft user, but I'm also jumped into that in a second, because AI adoption is no more technical quality. It's about comfort behavior, workflow familiarities, ecosystem confidence. If you feel confident, you will use it more likely than if you don't feel confident, correct? Now, from reliability perspective, Gemini shows both strengths and familiar generative AI weaknesses. The multi-capabilities are impressive. The ecosystem awareness is strategically powerful, and the reasoning for improvements are clearly visible. But hallucinations still exist. Incorrect outputs still exist. Overconfidence still exists. And validation remains necessary. Which means the same rule still applies. AI assistance is not the same thing as guaranteed correctness. And organizations absolutely must understand this distinction operationally. Now let us move into the governance and compliance, a serious topic, you know. And honestly, this becomes particularly interesting with ecosystem scale AI systems. Because governance challenges increase dramatically once AI becomes deeply integrated into the productivity environments. Permissions, access models, data visibility, retention policies, compliance structures, internal boundaries, auditability, identity management. All of these topics become significantly more important at ecosystems scale. And that is also connected directly to security and data protection, because organizations now increasingly face new reality. AI is no longer separate from operational infrastructure. It's becoming embedded, it's integrated into the operational infrastructure itself. And that changes risk discussions completely. Believe me, I'm an auditor. Which means executives, governance teams, security professionals, and compliance departments must become significantly more AI literate moving forward. Now, from a scalability perspective, what do you expect? Gemini is potentially one of the strongest ecosystem players in the market because, really simple, of Google's massive infrastructure scale. But again, technology alone does not create successful AI transformation. Organizations still require clear governance, operational ownership, training, AI literacy, validation processes, and really important and strong structured adoption strategies. Otherwise, even highly capable AI ecosystems create organizational chaos instead of productivity gains. And now let us briefly discuss the cost reality. Because ecosystems AI often looks pretty efficient at a first glance. But once organizations begin scaling usage across large environments, Cost quickly moves beyond license alone. It explodes. Integration, governance, training, security, validation, compliance, operational adoption, process redesign. That is where enterprise AI becomes significantly more complex than most early market narratives suggested. So hype versus reality. Gemini is strategically extremely important, probably far more than many people currently realize. Not necessarily because it's always the best standalone AI assistant, but because of where it sits inside of the global digital ecosystem and of your system you're using. And honestly, ecosystem positioning may ultimately matter more than individual models' quality alone. That is something many organizations still underestimate today. So, usability, 8 out of 10. Enterprise readiness, 8 out of 10. Governance maturity, 7 out of 10. Security confidence, 7 out of 10. Reliability, 7 out of 10. Scalability, 9 out of 10. Cost efficiency, 8 out of 10. Innovation, 9 out of 10. Hype factor, 8 out of 10. 9 topics, as always. And now I would genuinely like to hear from your perspective as well. Have you already integrated Gemini into your workflows? Are you using it? Do you believe ecosystem integration will ultimately become the dominant AI strategy? Or do you prefer more standalone AI systems? And of course, feel free to suggest any other platforms which have not been presented or are not on my bucket list, or other real-world use cases you want to see on that series. Let us explore the future in future episodes together. So thank you again for being here, for joining my channel. And until next time, less buzzwords, more reality, and as you know, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep in mind, control first, then autonomy. Saying that, have a great rest of the day, and thanks for watching my channel.